And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the 24-Hour Marketing Mastermind. We hope that you had a tremendous day. I have certainly had one of those challenging days. Today, I've been driving. I felt like I was driving for 12 hours, even though I was driving for probably about an hour and a half, because there was traffic jams everywhere. All of the traffic lights were out, and nobody gives anything about anybody else, and they just want to go, and everybody's trying to go in the traffic. And I was doing my nut early on today, but so and I only had to get like three things. I only had to get three things, but unfortunately, those three things were all different parts of town. So I was driving all over the place, and just going mental because of the heat. We don't have AC in the car, or as we say, aircon. We don't have AC in the car, so I got to drive with the window open. My window handle falls off. I've got to find a way to put it on. Every time I close the door, the door handle flies off the door, and I've got to find the handle and wind up the window again. So my car's got a personality of note. I was just saying to Jamie, I drive to Taz. It's like a Corolla, but it's just been downgraded to the bare minimum. All right, just think of a Toyota Corolla, chop it in half and take away all the frills. That's a Toyota Taz. It's cheap. It's a reliable car at one stage, but it's pretty old now, so it's long in the tooth. But anyway, hope everyone's doing well. We've got a really cool hangout, which we just want to share with you today. And so I'm going to go over to, I think we'll go with Pops for today and find out how Pops is doing. Pops, I believe you've had quite a day as well. How's that been going for you?
Actually, everything is going great. We're on our way out of Florida after spending 2.5 months here. The reason we spent 2.5 months here is we were waiting for a couple events, both of which were Ray Higdon events. And the last one that we just got finished with yesterday actually was phenomenal. There was a one-on-one, a very small atmosphere. I think there was like 40 other people there, and it was real intimate. He didn't wear a suit or anything. It was very relaxed. It was just, we learned so much, so many takeaways. It's fantastic. And we'll talk a little bit about that today, I think, just tonight, because it's so many golden nuggets that we got out of it. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to hear it. And believe me when I say this, I cannot wait to hear it. We were going to have a far more serious discussion about something else, but we may get into a little bit of that later if we've got some time. But, we don't want to turn ourselves into the philosophy channel. So let's go over to Mr. Jamie Shaw. And Jamie, you also had an interesting day, man. Things are just going, I don't know, it must be, how's your day been? Because you lost something, right?
Yeah, it was actually a really good day. I was outside. The weather's beautiful, but I was out with the traffic count crew setting traffic counts, and evidently we have a magnet that turns the traffic counter on to reset it and everything. And I had the magnet in my pocket, so when I pulled it out of my pocket, I must have pulled my truck key out with it, and I lost my truck key. So my wife had to drive all the way to Springfield, an hour and 20 minutes away, so to give me the spare key so I can get back home.
Make sure she don't get my pizza.
Goodness me.
But I was giving Dave a hard time when he said he drove a Toyota Taz, and telling him that I have a big American full-size pickup truck. It probably fit in the back of my pickup truck. So
everything's big over there, man. I couldn't get it. I got the shock of my life when I got into Pops's truck, and I was just sitting there amazed at the size of this. I was saying, were tanks built on this scale? I mean, it was huge. Cars over there are just massive, and we have a couple American cars here, but not the same size as you guys. I mean, goodness me, that was huge. Slight case of continent for me, but it was impressive. Do you still drive that truck, Pops?
No, I got rid of that in order to get the pickup that I have to pull the fifth wheel around. And I will never, ever forget when we were on the interstate, leave from the airport to go down to the hotel. And you said, not only am I in a tank and you said I'm having a complete meltdown here because we're on the wrong side of the road and you were on the wrong side of the vehicle driving on the wrong side of the road. Ah! That was hilarious.
Oh my goodness, it's frightening. You know, I think if I ever did move to the States, I would not drive for like 3 years or 5 years or something because, oh my gosh, I just expected a car to come around the corner and smash into us every single time. We drive on the inside. You think you're driving the right, but you don't. And that was mental. That was crazy. But anyway. With that being said, we've got Katie coming on. Now, we're not being rude getting Katie on last, you know, because we like to have ladies first, but Katie was having a bit of trouble with her mic, so we're just giving her a chance to get everything right, and hopefully she's not underwater. She's actually speaking. Are you there, Katie? Can you hear us, Katie?
Am I underwater?
No, you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
Okay. All right. So, well, I'm eating, always eating. I think these hangouts are like a trigger for me. I always have to have a snack when I'm doing these hangouts. So anyways, I want to really talk about this weekend, so I'm excited to get into that. So I'm just going to give it back to you because I know you're going to set it up good for me, Dave, okay?
Sure thing. And, you know,
Yeah.
I sent out an email today and I said that we're going to be discussing something, and I left out a word. There was a word in my email which I left out, and wondering if anybody guessed what that word was. But, you know, I left out some letters because I knew that if I put in a few more letters, people are going to guess it. But I'll tell you what that word is now. And this is the whole idea of being influenced by people. All right. Having influence in your life is probably the biggest thing that you would need to take your business to the next level. One thing that I can 100% guarantee for myself personally is that for 7 years, when I tried to get my business online started, I failed miserably for 7 years. And the major reason is that I refused to listen to other people. I refused to be influenced by people who had been there before. And that was my biggest downfall. And I've had this my whole life. I never learned because I'm always trying to do things my way. I remember when I was younger, my dad told me this one piece of advice. He said, "Dave, do yourself a favor, keep your wallet in your front pocket. Don't put it in your back pocket because somebody can pickpocket it and you will lose it." I didn't listen to him. I didn't pay any attention. And so, you know, and I was fine for a few years after that until one day, and I do this delivery that I had to do. And I was in such a rush because I move very quickly when I can and when I have the energy, especially when I take my magic pills. And I was getting out the car and I went to the workshop. I turned around and I felt my back pocket and my wallet was gone. And there were two guys in the workshop, two guys. And I knew somebody had taken them, but, you know, I'm not going to call them a liar and start a fight or anything, but I lost my wallet. When you lose your wallet, your whole world kind of collapses. And I learned the hard way. And this is what I call the invisible truth. It's the invisible rule that nobody follows until we learn the hard way. And this is where it is so important to understand that when you can listen to other people who've been there before and invite influence into your life, that's when you really start to grow. And I've noticed this with everybody on this panel. I've noticed this with Pops, I've noticed this with Jamie, and I've noticed this with Katie. Katie, in particular, was a very, very, very different person to what you're watching right now. Or believe it or not, when Katie first got started and I first met her, there was that now, if I had to go back and watch what she was like then, it would be a completely different person. She has completely changed. And the reason she has changed is because she invites influence into her life from all aspects. And they've just been to this amazing Ray Higdon event, which I am so jealous of because that guy is an oak tree of information. He's just an oak tree of knowledge. if you can be around this guy, it's just amazing. And they got to spend a few days with him. And what I want Kay and Pops to do is I want them, if they can, and if they'll allow us to hear from Mert and what they got from this event, because it's so important. Before Katie says anything, I just want to say hi to everybody here. So we have Rocket Rick, I think Maria's watching, and we have a couple of other people on here. We got Andre and so many. Let me just see if I can find everybody here. Who else is on this hangout, Katie? That I can see. I think Laurie's watching. If Olivia's watching, we would just want to say hi. Please drop a hi in the comments so we can say hello to you while we're talking. So, Katie, I'm going to hand this over to you. Tell us about your experience and what you actually learned in this weekend.
Thanks, Dave. I'm actually going to go over some really key nuggets that I think is really important to share. I mean, it's all really good stuff, and I don't think we have time to go through all of it. So I want to really share some things that I think that would really help a lot of people in the comments to kind of tweak their mind a little bit and kind of share, or not share, but kind of, oh, there's a truck. Hold on a second. I don't know if that's loud or not. It's a tow truck towing a school bus.
It's a tow truck. We can hear you.
Yeah, he's hauling a school bus. Okay, so anyways, I wanted to share some things that I think that would be a lot of help from you guys in the comments and for you guys who are watching this. So if you are getting value from this, I want you to just share what you love about it. Like, what was the aha moment that you got from this, okay? Because I really want to know if this is helpful. Because if this isn't helpful and I'm sharing this with you, what's the point? I don't have to share it anymore, right? But if it is helpful, I want to know, and I want that feedback. So one of the things that I wrote down, which is a huge, this is huge. Ray Higdon said this, and it reminded me of how, it reminded me of my why. Because of course, we're all here to make money, but we all put ourselves in this stressful situation that if we don't make this kind of money in a certain amount of time, we feel like we're a failure. We feel like there's something wrong with us. So I've kind of tweaked the way I've talked to people and the way I help them grow, because let me just read what this says. So there is a difference in helping someone making their first dollar in 90 days than feeling okay if they don't. So you guys who are building teams right now that are watching this, I want you to, this is huge on leadership. There's a difference between helping someone make their first dollar in 90 days, which is great. It is great. But there's a huge difference between that than having them feel okay if they don't. See, my whole purpose is to help people feel good about themselves, to find their voice, to have a vision, to find a purpose. Because I was once lost, and now I'm found, because I found my passion in doing this and helping other people become thought leaders in their industry, in their niche, right? And become leaders. And I think it's really super important to really build up that confidence in people. Because, like I said, we're in it for the money, that's fine. But we don't need to put that pressure on people and put pressure on ourselves as leaders who are, or mentors that are helping other people grow their business, that we have this sense of responsibility that if they don't make, something in 90 days or 30 days, maybe they'll quit, or, maybe we feel like a failure as mentors because, we know what works, but maybe the whole point is that there is a difference between helping someone make $1 the first 90 days than feeling okay if they don't. You guys get that, right? It's freaking huge. Does anybody want to say something about that? Like, you want to add anything? Like, what are your thoughts, Dave, or Pops, or somebody? I think I saw you write something down.
Yeah, I'm writing a whole bunch down. I think that's important. And I will say that when I first got started, my mentor never put pressure on me. He never put pressure on me to get something done. He just kept on telling me that it was just around the corner. I've said this a million times on Hangouts, but he would constantly say, it's just around the corner. It's just around the corner. And he would always encourage me, never put pressure on me to make huge amounts of money quickly. He just wanted me to get things done, little bits of skills that I could work up to something. And you know, we were talking about this earlier, that we've developed skills over time. And like I was just saying to Katie, I learned things today about my YouTube channel, which is such an amazing strategy. And we were just talking about it, and I can't believe I haven't done this. And you know, I'll be teaching that, by the way, or part of that, this coming Saturday on the workshop, and how you can actually take your YouTube channel to another level by just doing a couple of things that's going to help you. And I'm so excited about that. But it's never okay to force somebody to do something they don't want to do. It's never okay, because people grow in their own time. And that's just the way that life is, because I don't want to be told what to do. I want to do something because I want to. All right. You can't make people do stuff. I don't know if Pops wants to add to that, or.
Yes. You know, it shouldn't, especially at the beginning, it shouldn't be about just the money. Of course, we all get into business to make money. That is the bottom line. But also you need to learn skills in order to do that. And the skills require you to influence people to join with you so that you can make money, and show them how to do the same, and to teach others to make money and get others to join them. So you have to be duplicatable. In order to do that, you need to learn certain skills. So follow the skills rather than the money, and help people to learn how to do the same thing, and the money will come. That's the formula that needs to be followed. If you're just concentrating on the money rather than learning the new skills, it's likely that you're not going to get very far very quick, and you're going to get frustrated. And those that you do attract to you are going to do the same thing you do. So they too are going to go after the money and not learn the skills, because they're going to follow you, and they're going to do what you're doing because you're the leader now. And they're going to end up probably quitting or moving on to something else. You know, that's where the shiny ball syndrome comes in, because a lot of people aren't seeing results in one, so they jump to the other, but they haven't been to the first one long enough to learn the skills. And that's likely because their sponsor or mentor, and I say that word loosely in this scenario, hasn't trained them properly. Katie and I went through that. She has said many times that she felt alone on an island because her sponsor wasn't there, and that's absolutely true, because I had the same sponsor. That's not to say we couldn't have gone off on our own and learned this stuff, but we had no idea what we were doing. So follow the skills, learn the skills, and teach other people. Become duplicatable. That's what it's all about. Keep it simple and become duplicatable, and that's where the money comes later on.
Now, I know what I wanted to follow up with what Pops was saying, because he brought this really good point where you learn the skill. And here's the kicker, guys. You know, we have Joe Whistler, that is Twitter, right? He's on social media. You know, he's on Twitter. We have Andrea, you know, she's Twitter as well. And then you have Maria, who's on Facebook, and Ricky, who's on Facebook, and Jamie, who's on Facebook, actually YouTube, and then Dave's on YouTube. You know, all these social media sites. That here's something cool. You learn the skills of marketing and talking to you're speaking, and you're solving a problem, and you're giving out value, and that's the marketing part of it, is where you're getting that value and that content out. But here's the cool thing: you can learn that skill, and then you can take it to any social media site that you're comfortable with, and just do that social media site. Like for me, it's Facebook. For Lori, it's Facebook. She tried Instagram, I tried Instagram, Pops tried Instagram, and we didn't get it. Jovi, she's an Instagram queen, so she is going to be on Instagram. So it makes sense for her to do that. So for those of you, again, who are building a team, if someone comes on to your team, ask them what is your preferred social media, and help them focus just that one. just that one on the how to market correctly. So, because here's the cool part is that you have the skill of marketing, and then all you got to do if you want to learn a different social media, once you're like mastering one, you don't have to relearn marketing, because what's really cool is that you just change the language to that particular social media, because obviously way of posting on YouTube, or there's a certain structure for that. Yes, it's kind of like a new way of kind of not marketing skill. I'm saying how to use that language, because Instagram is just all about pictures. That's pretty easy, right? And hashtags. So on Facebook, it's all about, it's all random, So what I'm trying to say, I don't want to sound confusing or not, but say if Joe Whistler wants to go to Facebook, he knows how to market. He does it on YouTube all day long and probably in his sleep. I have no idea. But if he wants to go to Facebook and starts marketing there, he's just going to have to use Facebook language. He can't just do, certain stuff that Twitter does. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Okay.
If I can speak to my experience about YouTube, when I first got started, I chose YouTube as the preferred means of marketing. And I want you to get this, right? One of the things that I didn't get right with YouTube right in the beginning was I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to write my descriptions, my titles, my tags. I just put in whatever I felt. But I took the first action of just putting a video out there. And I kept on doing that. I was showing Katie one of my very first videos. Well, I was showing her like way back. I made my very first video. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I was doing the most spammiest stuff ever. And then my mentor, Brian, at the time, showed me how to rank a video. Basically, he showed me the little basics on how to rank a video. So that was a little skill that I had that I could use. So when I mastered that skill, suddenly I was ranking, but nobody was watching my videos because I wasn't keeping their attention. That was one thing that I didn't know how to do. And then at that moment, I decided, because I needed to get some sort of result, I was so desperate. And as Katie says, you find something out there. And I tried Craigslist. And I actually got pretty good on Craigslist, but they shut me down. And so I had to, the strategy I used on Craigslist, I suddenly realized that strategy I learned from somebody else. So all I need to do is to find somebody who did YouTube, and I'll go and listen to what they say. And they, when I found a little 10-minute course by a guy by the name who eludes me at the moment, Kevin Ferguson, he made this little 10-minute course. And I followed what he said. Suddenly people were watching my videos. They were watching the whole video instead of just the first 10 seconds and then shutting my video down. So that was another skill I had. And then as I grew, I started to become a lot more confident in my videos. And so as I progressed, and this is what I'm saying, if you have a strategy that you prefer, like doing Twitter or doing Instagram, and you're already good at something in that strategy and you're not getting the results you want, my advice to you would be to go and find somebody. If you're inside of My Lead System Pro, go inside that, look at a Twitter strategy and go through everything again and see what you're missing, because there is a skill set that you're not getting. It's like when toddlers learn to walk. They're scrounging around and they grab onto things and they wobble around, and they might stand up and walk for a little bit, and then they'll fall down, and then they don't walk for another 4 months, and then they get up and then they do it again. And it's a skill that they develop over time, and it's the exact same thing. If you want to learn how to become really good at Twitter, and you've got so many followers, but you're not getting the results that you want, my advice to you would be go back into your training material and see what you've left out. See what it is that you're not doing. Because there is and it's a little tweak. It's a little tweak. Like with videos, I'd start off by saying, Hi, my name is Dave. I live in Pinetown. My favorite color is green. I like dogs, blah, blah, blah. And I'm talking about myself for about 5 minutes before I get to the point. And all I had to do was say, in this video, we're going to be talking about X, Y, and Z. I'm going to be telling you blah, 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 blah. And I get their attention. That's why they're at the video, and I hold their attention. And it took me about 6 months to get that down. And it's only because I just kept on working at the strategy. And this is what we do. I don't know if you've gone to point yet or if this is helpful. Maybe Jamie wants to add to this.
One more thing I wanted to add, because what I was trying to say before is that when you're on Facebook, there's a lot of people who do this and they have to stop doing this. You see a post and it has all these hashtags and this little thing and it says it was shared from Instagram. Don't do that. Some other people share a quote and it was from Twitter. It actually literally says from Twitter. You don't do that. Okay. And there's a lot of people who I understand if people don't have time, but there's a lot of people who schedule a post on Facebook and it literally says social jukebox and they wonder why they don't get any likes, because the reason why is because you're literally telling people, well, I don't have time for you, but I want to use social jukebox to pretend that I'm still there. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. If you have time, if you're retired, or if you have time on your job just to be on break and post something, you don't have to post every day, all day, you know what I mean? But even if you do once a day and you're showing up as a real person instead of a bot, that's huge. I mean, I just wanted to clarify that. So that's why there's a different language in each different social media platform. So back to maybe Jamie or somebody. Sorry.
Yeah, I think people get hung up a lot of times trying to promote their product or their company, and some of the training I've been going through here lately, people don't really buy products. They buy from people they know, like, and trust. And I covered this in the workshop on Saturday, that people want to buy the benefits of whatever your product you're promoting is. They want to buy the benefits, what it does for them. It comes down to what's in it for them. So you got to kind of drill it down, and try to think like a consumer, what's in it for me if I buy this product. And people that like to buy products, like I do, I buy quite a few products. I always look at the reviews, I look at the comments, and then I ask myself, what's in it for me if I buy this course? And that's how I approach everything. And, I may look at the reviews and I may see what kind of ratings it has. If it's got crappy reviews and crappy ratings, I might skip over and find something else. But the most important thing is I want to know what's in it for me. What am I going to get out of it if I use this course and go through it? What's the end result? And people miss that a lot. They just throw their links all over there about their course and their product. And, it's like, for example, you go in and to buy a new car and you're looking at this car and the salesman wants to sell you this car. It's not about what he wants to sell you. It's about what you want. And a lot of salesmen miss out on sales because they're rude or they try to push you into a car that they don't want, that you don't want. You know what you want when you hit the lot. So think of that, kind of think of a consumer standpoint. What's in it for me if I buy this product or that product? Or that way, how to attract what benefits are good for this product that people will be interested in.
I love that analogy. I think that's tremendous. I love that analogy, wanting to sell the car because you're going to make more commission on it, and listening to what your customer wants and finding out what they need. I think that's so powerful. Thank you, Jamie. Pops, you want to say something, or back to Caddy in the studio?
We learned a lot about new things, actually, about telling your story. We have kind of had it pretty much out of whack. What Rhea was saying is your story should be designed so that everyone can see that they can do this. So you need to structure your story that it's more about them than it is about you, although it is your story. Don't lie. talk about relatable things. So first of all, don't be specific about anything necessarily. Like, say if you're a doctor, for instance, you don't say, I'm a doctor and I have a great opportunity for you or something like that, because they're going to say, well, you're a doctor, of course you can do this. You would say instead, I worked in a hospital. So don't be specific about your profession, because you might be talking to somebody that would feel inferior to you and feel intimidated with you being a doctor. That's for instance. And let's see, what else was there? And you try to relate to them that the minute that they settle for less is when they take all the power away from themselves somehow. So if you can relate to them that actually off to somebody else, such as a boss, that they're just giving up their own power and they're just like robots. But you need to paint it, of course, in a picture that you don't want to slam their job, or actually you don't want to even say you hated your job, because they may like their job. They could be the biggest rock star you have on your team, unless you say something about your job that they do like, and they're going to say, immediately they're going to put a resistance in their mind because they like their job. And they're going to be not listening to you anymore because they're thinking, well, I like my job. And then they're going to go off and think about their job instead of listening to you. So be general as you possibly can. That's what he means by staying away from being specific. And what else is he talking about? And actually, if you can convey to them somehow that taking risks is an important thing, and it's inherent in human nature. Because if you don't take risks, actually, you're not growing. And if you don't take risks, that's the biggest risk that you're taking. If you understand their turnaround in the wordplay, if you don't take risks, that's the biggest risk you can take in your whole life, because you will stop growing, you'll stop moving forward, and you won't be going after your dreams and whatever it is that you want. Even if you do like your job, awesome. I wish I had that luxury of life. I did have a couple of jobs I really loved, actually. But that's not to say I wanted to do it for the rest of my life. And what I do now is something that I can do while I'm traveling in an RV, as long as I have an internet connection, and that's almost anywhere. And so that's the type of life that I want to live now that I'm as old as I am, getting older as we all are. So think about redesign. Actually, we'll probably try to do a training on that again about your story, because we did kind of have it screwed up, actually, compared to what Ray was saying. It made a lot of sense. So back to you guys.
I just want to add to that, and I think it's worth discussing a little bit, because I love what you said, Pops, about risk, that we all take risk. And I think it's fair to say that if you look at your own life personally about what you do and the risks, we take risks. There are things in our own lives, and I truly believe this, where we take tremendous risk. It might be, think about it this way, right? So you want to get yourself, just a basic example, you want to get yourself a good phone, but you want to get yourself a reliable phone, right? You don't really have all the money in the world to get that particular phone, but you see the phone, you see the value in it, and it costs a lot of money, but you inherently take that risk, and you feel kind of scary taking that risk, because in a way you've been convinced you understand the power of that phone and what it can do for you. And this happens in all forms of life. We take a look at the job that we want to take, our 9-to-5 job that we want. Maybe it's a bit out of our way, or maybe we've got to travel a far distance, but there are things that we do in our own life where risk is just part of what we do. The only difference, I think, between taking risk that helps us is that we take risks that don't really benefit us where we should be going. Or what do you think about that, Pops? Is that you can understand where I'm coming from? That risk is part of our own lives, and we just need to kind of redirect it into and kind of funnel it in a proper way.
Exactly. Yeah, funnel that risk where actually you get excited and a little scary, and you'll kind of feel in your heart if you're going in the right direction. If it really whacks you out, then you might want to reconsider or look at it a little harder. But if you feel uncomfortable, but yet you're really excited, you're probably on the right track. Because, you know, we don't really think with we all think that we are logical thinkers, right? Well, that's totally wrong. We're not even in control of our own life. Our subconscious controls 90% of the stuff we do throughout the entire day. And we don't even realize it, just the repetition that we go through. But if you feel a little bit uncomfortable, that's your reptilian brain trying to hold you back because it thinks you're in danger. So you need to push on. And like Dave likes to say, keep on keeping on, because you have to break that reptilian brain's control over you and just stretch and take that risk, and eventually you'll break through there. And well, we're all doing this every day. You know, people who have been changing their language or moving from their native tongue to speak English in order to market in the US, that's a huge risk in time and effort, and really screwing up the reptilian brain in order to do that. And we're damn glad you did, because you are wonderful people. But we all have taken those risks in order to put ourselves out there in a different, strange marketplace. And it's awesome.
Yeah, I think you could probably go on forever on the subject, and I think that actually hit me very hard. That I love that, because you know, there were so many things. You know, probably about 8 years ago, if you had told me what I needed to do to get started online, first of all, I wouldn't have been ready, and there's no ways that I would have jumped in that direction, because I didn't understand what I needed to focus on. And I think your focus, what you focus on, guides your risks. And I now find myself taking bigger risks in my business, because I understand that it's actually going to benefit me. It's going to push me in the right direction. So there's a certain piece of equipment I want to buy because I believe it's going to help my business, and it's a chunk of money. It's a huge chunk of money, but I know that I need to go in that direction, and it's going to help me. I would never have done that years ago, but I probably would have saved up for a really cool looking phone or a cool looking device that had my focus somewhere else. Maybe a big screen TV, you know, that I could watch all my series that I want to, but I don't do that now, because my focus is completely different. My sense of risk management has changed. Sorry, Kay, I know you got a bunch to say, and but I just think it's worth discussing. Sorry. No,
that's fine. I have more than abundance of to share, and anything that we don't get over, we're not going to go over all of it. We're just not. We don't have time, but to pay attention to, or not pay attention, but to stay on a particular subject that gives breakthrough, that we should be talking about it. So I'm glad that you brought that up, and I'm glad Pops brought it up, and it really, if Pops didn't say that, you wouldn't have had that aha moment. So that's awesome. Dave, were you and Pops going to talk about, because I can share one more thing if you guys need time to talk about something else at the end, right?
Yeah, that's fine. We don't even need to cover that right now. We can always talk about that on
okay.
But carry on. I think this is
okay.
A great subject. I think it's really
okay.
important.
Okay, so if we have time, hopefully we'll get like a couple of more things in. This is super important, and I'm going to put a challenge out there for everybody. So as soon as you hear this challenge, I want you to put it in the comments, and I want you to commit to yourself, because when you write it in the comments, you're committing it to yourself. You're not, you know, I want to know that you're committing to yourself to do this challenge. So here's the challenge. let me just kind of anyways, let me just say this first before I talk and give you the challenge, is that in our private group with our workshop warriors, is that I'm really encourage people to get out there and talk to people, because I don't want them to be the best kept secret in this industry. The number one skill that, I think I wrote that down, but the number one skill that you want to do is you have to talk to people, right? So you have to get the skill of talking to people. And I was the same way for like, you may not believe this, but like for the first freaking 3 years, maybe 2.5 years or something, I did not want to talk to anybody. I felt like I was too brand new. I was embarrassed that I was new. So I just didn't talk to anybody. So I used the excuse to, I got to keep learning. I got to keep learning. Now I know, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. Don't get stuck in that learning mode. And I say that with loving mirrors. With love. Okay. So here's the challenge. What you're going to do is I want you to get out there and start talking to people. And the challenge is you go for the no. Literally go for the no. Because the more no's you have, the more yeses you're going to start to have. I'm telling you, there could be more no's than yeses. I don't know. Go for the no and stop looking for the yes. So that is the absolute challenge. And I think that really set a different mindset in me when Ray Higdon said that. Because there was somebody who raised their hand, they had a question, they had some issues. I'm like, there's literally people out there who go and do, they tell their story, they get people interested, they go watch the videos or something like that, but they didn't know what to do after that. Right? And there's other people who actually don't even go out there at all because they were afraid of the no. So that's the no challenge. Yes. So go ahead and put it in the comments down below saying that you're ready to do that challenge, and start with 10 no's a day. I don't know, 5 a day, but keep up with that challenge. Okay. Because what if 4 of them say yes? Right? It's like you have something that they want. And yeah, I don't know. So what do you guys think about that? What do you think about that challenge? Is that pretty cool?
I think it's a great challenge. I think it's also tempting for people who are hearing this to say no. It's very, very tempting to hear this and say no, because it's getting out of your comfort zone, and it's certainly. But I think it's relieving as well if you understand that going for a no is not. There's nothing wrong with going for that no. In fact, if you can get as many no's as you want to, you'll be surprised. That video you shared with us a while back about the guy that decided he was going to do 100 things and get rejected, and he goes out and he first asks the guy for $100, and then he runs out the room. And this guy decided he was going to do 100 activities where he was going to get rejected and see how he could actually deal with rejection. So he decided he was going to go out, and his first activity was to ask a complete stranger for $100. And of course, the person said no, and then he just ran out and completed what he actually did. He got somebody.
What was the connection?
The connection is he was looking for the no, looking for the rejection, looking for the until because he went to the donut stand. He asked the donut lady, "Can you please make me a donut in the shape of the Olympic rings?" And he was expecting her to say no, and she actually went out of her way to make the Olympic rings for him. And he shared this on YouTube, and he got millions of views just by one thing. And just because he took the action, it's incredible how that works. You don't realize that some people will actually say yes. And I think the biggest fear is, what if they do say yes, right? So have you ever had that? Like, maybe you're just scared of somebody saying yes. I don't know. What others think?
That's funny. I love that. I love that because the guy he walked up to and asked for the $100, even though he said no. Do you remember what he said after that? Well, why do you need it? He was still curious, like, well, why do you need it? It's really interesting.
People need reasons.
I love that connection.
People need a reason, and sometimes we don't have a reason. Sometimes we don't have a reason. In fact, and it's amazing how powerful words are. Just little things that you can say can change the whole dynamic of the conversation. If you want to, you can try this if you want to, if you're brave enough. But go into a line of people and just try and push in and just say, can I go here? And most people say no. But if you push into a line and you say, I need to get to this line because my car's running, most people will let you go in front just because you said the word because. And they did an experiment where they found that most people would let you in, even if the excuse was, I need to get in this line because I'm breathing air. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't have to be a really good reason. There are so many things that you can learn, and this only happens when you take action. All right, so yeah, I don't know, just found that interesting. Somebody else?
You know that, yeah, the no's that you get are actually going to be an education. Yeah, the more no's you get, they are likely going to come with an excuse of some kind, or a reason, if you will, or if you will not. And that's a great education on how to get around those objections. And that's an important skill to learn and to teach your team members of how to get around the objections. And that's where you take that objection and you scale it down and ask them to explain a little further, get them to explain it, what they really mean. And when they say it over again and possibly in a different way, trying to explain what they meant to you, it isn't going to hurt to them as it did the first time they said it. And you're going to get a bigger education out of that than out of anything you will ever learn in this marketing thing, is how to get around the objections of no. And there's a short little story. You got to go to it?
Slow down.
There's a short little story that Napoleon Hill talks about this brand new salesman that decided he's going to go to the hardest, most objectionable markets for advertising. He worked for an advertising agency, and he went to the hardest people that nobody could get. And within a month, he got 9 out of 10 of them because he studied the people that he had to talk to or what they were like. And that last one, he was at it for 6 months every day. He went to this guy and asked him again. And every day he said no until the last day, or one day the guy says, why do you keep coming here and asking me, even though I keep saying no? You're pretty persistent. He says, well, you know, sir, I'm kind of selfish in this, and that you are teaching me more about objections than I could learn anywhere else in the whole world, and I decided that I'd let you be my teacher. And the guy said, you know, I got to be honest with you too. You know, I'm learning how to be more objectionable. And I love that too. Well, he ended up getting the sale because of persistence, and he learned how to get around the objections. So anyway, we're running short of time a little bit, so I'll let somebody else get in here.
Yeah, that just kind of spun my head around. Work for the no instead of the yes. You know, I think a lot of people don't really think about that because they're too busy working for the yes. But that's a great idea. Start working on the no. And see how many no's you can get, and then when you're going to be totally surprised when you get that yes.
You know,
I love it.
There's a great you were talking about that, and it just reminded me of my uncle Peter Pops, when he was working in South Africa. He was a salesman, and he was given this route to go and do for his particular sales route. He was going to sort out, I don't know, he did some sort of product that he was selling to these people, and he said, please, can you give me anything? And the guy said, look, we've only got this route. Nobody wants it. Nobody get anything out of it. If you can take this, we'll give you the business. And he says, okay, fine. So he took the business, and he made more sales in that route than anybody else in that company, because what he did is he started to visit everybody on a daily basis. Every single day he pitched up at the doors of these companies, and when he would walk into the store, he would if they needed like a can of paint and they need it, so he would keep his ears to the ground and he would go out and get the paint to come back and give it to them. He would become very helpful for them. He would do these things and he learned their behaviors. And as a result, he developed this good relationships, and all of the no's turned to yeses because of the relationship he built. And you know, there's a very good movie out there called Door to Door. It's a true story about a guy who had cerebral palsy. It's called Door to Door, and you can watch it. It's just amazing about this guy who has this condition. And he had a similar thing where he wanted to do he was selling, and he said that he tried to get the job and the guy said no. So this guy goes back and he says, you give me the worst route, give it to me, and I will show you how I can turn this around. And every single day he would knock on the door and get rejected. Every single day he would knock on the door and get rejected. But he just kept on, and he kept on, and he kept on, and the no's slowly started to turn to yeses. And he became the #1 in that company. It's a great, great story and a true story. And, you know, it's just one of those inspirational things that you can look to. It can be done. Look forward to the no's. I think it's a great policy, especially, you know, what normally happens is people say, you know, they say to you, a no is closer to a yes. There's one more no is closer to a yes. And yes, I suppose that's true, but you always get kind of disappointed. But if you know that you're looking towards the no because you're building yourself up, you're building your own skills up, you're building your own self-esteem up so that you can get as many no's under your belt, why don't you look at it that way? Say, you know what? I'm going to go for 1,000 no's this month. I'm going to get 1,000 no's because I want to work on my skill set. That might change the whole dynamic of you speaking to people. So yeah, I think that's great. I know we've got 8 minutes left. We don't really have time to do anything else, but if you've got one more thing you want to share, Katie, or anything.
If I had to quickly explain something, is my audio okay? I keep skipping. Am I okay?
No, you're doing fine.
It's okay? Okay. For those of you who are building a team, remember that, write this down, is 80, 15, and 5. 80% of the people are going to not really do anything, no matter how much you try to drill into them. 15% is going to be right in the middle where they kind of do stuff and kind of not and whatever. The 5% are your rock stars that are going to smash it. Okay, 80% could be like customers, not interested in the business. Maybe it's a few team members who are just looking for the community and really don't move forward very much. And then you get the 15%. That's correct, right, Pops? It's like the 15% are the ones who just kind of move forward in their own pace. And then the 5% is the rock stars that actually do everything that you say, like immediately. And it's really awesome. And if I could just say one more thing, Dave, I wanted to go back to this and that story. This kind of correlates with this. That story that you told about the butterfly, I think that is amazing. Where if you had a butterfly, the caterpillar that went into the cocoon, you can't force that caterpillar to come out too early, otherwise the butterfly will die. And I think it's a really great metaphor for people who are, you have to recognize who's going to be the 80, 15, 5. You get the 15% that want to do the work, but they're trying to grasp how the concept works, so they got to go a little bit slower. And then you get the 5% who's probably been in the game for a while, but they still want to get unstuck and like learn the correct way to build a business because they were really never taught the right way. But that 5% is the ones who are growing the fastest and coming out of their own cocoon, but you're still helping them grow pretty fast. Does that make sense? Because you can't really take that butterfly and just force it out of the cocoon. So you got to recognize who's going to move fast and who's not. And don't push anybody. At the same time, don't hold them back. If you say, you know what, I got you to this point, this is my expertise of knowledge to this point. I'm going to actually point you to someone who is a little bit further than I am, and I want to connect him to you, right? He can take you to the next level if I can, if I don't know. If you're in a place where you feel like you're holding them back. Does that make sense? Like, you know what I'm saying, Dave? You're muted. So muted.
Yeah, I do.
Oh.
I do. You know, it's interesting. I'm just going my thoughts here for a second. Yeah, when I've completely lost what I was going to say. What the heck, Katie? I've turned into you.
Squirrel. So, oh, wow. Well, here's what I was going to say, actually, is that's what held me back for a long time. And this is probably what scared me. There's people who actually say they're afraid of success, but really, if you dig down deep and ask certain questions and recognize that people aren't afraid of success, they're afraid of helping others, showing them the way that they were shown, and people failing because of them. So people are afraid that they're going to get blamed for them not having success. That's pretty much what it is in this industry that we're in when we're building teams, right? And that's what held me back for a long time. And I realized, it clicked in my head, and I'm like, you know what? I have come this far. Even though I'm growing every single day, if I have someone who is growing faster than me, I'm going to let them go. I'm not going to hold them back. I'm going to point them if they need it. I'm going to point them to somebody who can take them even faster or further, because I can only take them to a place where I know, right? And that's where it really comes in, where it's like complete 100% integrity. And it's just, you want to see this person grow so much, even if you're just a footnote and just a stepping stone to this higher level that they have. That is freaking a wonderful feeling, because this is what Ray Higdon says. Even if we go over time, I think this is important. What Ray Higdon said is that there's a couple of leaders that you can be. You can be that person on stage and say, you know, I did all this, I made all this money, I bought all these houses, and I'm just amazing, right? Or you can be that person that's in the crowd, and you have a team member walking across the stage and all of a sudden pointing at you saying, I'm here because of that person. I'm getting goosebumps because of that. That's freaking awesome. That's freaking awesome. That makes me excited. You know, I don't have to have the limelight. I would just love to be that stepping stone. So just to let go and say, you know what, if I'm holding you back, here's another person, or if you found somebody else that's totally awesome, I want you to rock this thing. Not like they're going to leave you or anything, but, you know, if they go beyond, and you know what I'm saying? That's pretty badass, isn't it?
No, I do. I mean, if I can add to that for a second, Katie, because I know that when people get started, what they do is, you know, and this, I think, comes to what we spoke about last week when we spoke about the hype in business. People see the hype, and they see all these people, as you say, being on stage, such great people, and they want to be that person. So what they do is they try and pretend to be something they're not. But the truth of the matter is that when you're getting started, you're working on yourself. You're working on yourself and developing your own skill set so that you can become valuable to other people. Once you are valuable to other people, that's when you can start passing your knowledge on to other people, and understand that seeing them go is the most amazing thing ever. I mean, you're not a leader because you have 100 people who follow you. You are a leader if you can get 100 people to go ahead of you. If you can get somebody to a point where they can go on their own and they don't need your help anymore, that is when you really are a leader. You know, I mean, this whole idea about, and this is where you lead from behind in one sense, because what you're doing is you're pushing people to be more than they can be. And the truth of the matter is that, you know, not all of us are going to be working together for the rest of our lives. You know, in 5 to 10 years' time, I would imagine we have a completely different surrounding with different people that we're working with, because perhaps we've gone to do something else, and we've taken our business to an entirely new level, and that's where we want to be, and we want to encourage that. If you want to keep everybody to yourself So now I just want to keep them underneath me. Number one, you will lose them. And number two, your reputation will precede you and people will start to see you for what you really are. And that's why true leaders get other people out. They push other people out to do more than they can do. And I can only be a real leader if I can get somebody else to pass me. If I can get somebody else to pass me, that means I've done my job. That's teaching somebody to fish. It's not giving somebody a fish. It's teaching somebody to fish. So I think it's a great.
Oh, that's what Ricky said. I know we're on the top of the hour. It's okay. Just hold on just for a couple of minutes. This is super important. Ricky said this. I think this was last week. Is that you don't look for the fish, you look for the fisherman, which is really awesome because that's exactly what that means. A couple years back, I just wanted to tell this quick story. A couple years back, we're in this particular company and watching this particular training. It was a live training, and it was okay. It was I'm excited. This live training, and what it was like a visual. Right? It was a visual thing for people who want to build a team. And the visual exercise was draw yourself as the leader and then draw your team. So if I can remember the details of basically you're drawing like stick figures and you're just drawing this team. And most of the time people, when they were showing their work, it looks like a little team, right? So they wanted to kind of draw that out and say, hey, that's your team, and just visualize you at the top. You're the leader, right? But here's the thing. This is a visual exercise, like I said. I didn't see that. Not because I didn't think I deserved it. I'm not saying that I am better than anybody else, and I'm not trying to say that I'm, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I want you to really grasp this and see yourself as, this will change your life. Okay, you're not going to see yourself as this. What I really want you to do is see yourself as that. That's exactly what I drew a couple years ago, where you're not above, you're not below, you're equal. Because you're just, you're a leader, but what a leader does is that they help other people in all aspects, in every level, and edify, right? They edify other people and make them feel better about themselves than the leader. Because the lead, there's people out there that just say, well, I want to get credit. I want people to be, to know that it was me that gave them success. But I think that's kind of tacky. What you got to do is, what I suggest you do is to build people up and be equal. Just see everybody as equal. Don't say that I'm the leader and you can't pass me. But you want them to grow past you for sure, and be happy that they do, and be okay with it. And that's freaking awesome. You're just a stepping stone. I think that's awesome. I just want to share that.
No, that's great. And I think it's we've left it on a very high note there, and a lot of food for thought. Absolutely. I mean, I hope this has blown your mind. And if you're watching the replay, you're more than welcome to get in contact with us to ask us how it is that we're getting together, because we meet together every Saturday on a workshop. And what we do there is we share our weeks with each other, and we share our struggles, and we help each other, and we train each other, and we work on what we're battling with, and we encourage each other. And that's the whole point. And that's the motto of the workshop. The motto of our workshop is ultimately to get rid of everybody, because we want them to start their own workshop. All right, that is ultimately our goal. This is exactly what Katie is hitting on. And it's happening. We have people in the workshop going out there, starting their own and teaching other people, and it's just an amazing thing to see. And we certainly, it's not that we don't want you, we want you to grow, and that's the ultimate goal. And so with that being said, any last words, Pops, you want to say?
Have a great week, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow on mine and Katie's show, and Ricky will be after us, and boy, I don't remember the rest of them through the week, but anyway, have a great week. I'll see you later.
Building. Jamie?
Well,
Sure,
I think Dave just hopped off, so that was weird. Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, sure, everybody find the mute button. I didn't realize Dave jumped off. But You know, this is big stuff, guys. You know, if this don't get you juiced up and excited, I don't know what will. But you know, I took like 5 pages of notes, so I'm juiced up and excited. There's Dave back, so.
Yeah, I was just messaging them. We're still live.
All right, we're still live. Okay, so we're still live. Sorry, my connection dropped and then connected again because of my wonderful, wonderful connection. You know, laugh it off. Nothing you're going to do. Guys, we will see you same time next week. Same time, same, and all the hangouts. Katie will put them in the description. I don't want to go through all of them. We got a ton of them. Get hold of us because, you know, Amy runs a hangout on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We got Sonia and Maria that run a hangout 4 p.m. Eastern. Is that right? And then we have Katie and Pops that run a hangout on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then we have Ricky, Rocket Rick, who runs his own hangout at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, we got our main Mighty System Pro hangout, which is at 9 p.m. Eastern, and Wisdom Wednesday on 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we got a whole bunch of them that happen throughout the week, and this is a result of everybody in our team growing and building their own business. All right, that's the main thing, and this is why we say that in our workshop we have an 80% success rate because people are helping each other. But the question is, you need to ask. You need to ask. You need to reach out and say, "I'm battling. Is this something I need to do?" And take constructive criticism. You know, if you're going to put yourself out there, you got to learn to take it on the chin, and that's how we grow. So, with that being said, we're going to say goodbye. We'll see you. And now I am going to stop the broadcast, and Katie's going to switch to live. All right. So, cheers, guys. Bye bye.